to the Board of Selectmen's meeting for January 8th. Will you rise for the pledge, please? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Joe Bailey here.
John Honchkus here.
John Collier. Okay. Wow. Swearing at a new
It's not here, so they don't.
We'll move on to it. Alright, we're just going to our minutes for the 12/11 meeting. That was the last meeting we had almost a month ago.
You don't look any more rested.
I love ice.
I've already read these minutes. Make a motion that we approve the minutes. Board of Selectmen meeting dated December 11th.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Alright, me too. Okay. Investment policy.
You need one every year for the audit.
Got your book.
How are you?
So we have, there were two investment policies going, right? One for what I call the regular money and then the other one for the trustees. Okay.
So the next thing is Sanders contract.
This is for Kathy's title searches, stuff for liens. She wants two originals. It's the same one we've been using.
Just right here.
Brand new one?
When they sign one.
About 15 years old.
Old?
About 15 years old.
You want this one left
I
behind?
think it's by, you know, I think some of the Laura fills in, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, as long as you pick three.
Okay. Tree care program.
Are we doing that anymore for that big tree next door? Because that's what this is.
I think we got the cure for that, it's called chainsaw.
Okay. Because it's like, what is it, 150 to,
We tried it.
close to
didn't get-
$400, $500 to
No.
treat it?
we
Everybody
tried
know
it.
which one we're talking about?
Yes? The other one beside it?
Yeah, out in front of the old town hall.
Right.
It's two trees, one is healthy and one is not.
Right.
The one that's healthy has the lights. The other one needs to be cut down for firewood. I don't think spending $500 a year on that thing like that, it's not looking any better after 2 years of it,
No.
so. I think we'd probably cut it down, pull it out and put a new one in, let it grow.
I agree. We're-
$500 to buy a nice sized blue spruce. Put in it.
Okay, EMD position.
Oh, I had, somebody with interest in being the emergency management.
Oh, okay,
But the question is that do they get paid?
no,
It has to be volunteer.
well, it has been a volunteer position since its inception, going back to Joe Curtin, who did it for, well, 20 years or something.
Yeah.
Okay. I've done it as a volunteer position, not even taking a phone stipend when it was offered, so. Usually in the bigger towns, Rochester, Dover, the EMD is either the fire chief, assistant fire chief, sometimes it's part of the emergency squads within the police department. It's usually not a volunteer in the big towns. In a smaller town, like Middleton, a quasi part-time person, like Chief Bill, might be getting paid as fire chief and have the role of emergency management director. But no one's
I like that idea.
specifically getting paid to be emergency management director.
Well, there was an officer,
Yeah, it is.
there was an officer interested, but I think he wants to be paid to come in on his days off and stuff to make meetings or have, if he wasn't working and there's a storm, do you know what I mean? So that was the question it brought.
I'll be glad to talk to him about the job of emergency management director, but the fact that there's a storm does not of and by itself mean that the emergency management director comes in, okay? A 5-day ice storm might be in it, but routine calls, 2 weeks of cold weather, no. Ice storms might do it, okay, but in general, you're not here every day. It's really getting ready for the big one. Yes.
Well, there's more to it than just showing up for emergencies too. There's interacting with other towns, setting up grants and things of that sort, so it's
A lot of
more
training that goes on, yep.
Do they get paid for doing their trainings and
No.
stuff? No, okay. Just making sure I got everything.
And when I've attended training over in Concord, I go on my own dollar. When we have local meetings, often in Rochester, sometimes Stratford, there's 6th Street Firehouse, I go on my own dollar. Okay?
Do we have anything in the town documentation listing various positions and what the duties are of said positions?
Yes, I don't know if EMD is there, but yes, we do have,
That would be a good
Yeah.
one to
okay,
add to
take a
that
look at
list.
it, sure. As a town, we have been very lucky. Most of you sitting here were, if you didn't see it, you were within earshot of that tornado that went just north of us, went up through, is it Ossipee, some of, New Durham and so forth. Don't have to look very far out in California before you realize how lucky we are. You know, they don't talk about one house going, that storm gets going, you know, the fire, entire blocks, entire towns that are decimated.
Now the mudslides are gonna take care of that.
Yeah,
But once again, I think it really behooves the town to list the various duties and actions. At some point, you may want to relinquish that title, and when you do, the person coming in should have some guidelines as to how to function.
the biggest part of it is coordination. If there is a hostage situation, I am not in charge, the police chief is. If there is a structural house fire that's gone to 3 alarms, as emergency management director, I am not in charge. Bill is. I might ask him if he needs additional resources, it'd be my job to get those, but at no point does the EMD take charge of localized incidents. You know, if we had a 10-day rainstorm that put everybody under flood conditions, I would be coordinating with other towns for that. We have certainly been fortunate. Thank you.
Any more questions on that one? CAI contract.
This is cardiographics for the mapping. There's two of this one as well. She says there is no changes. She was gonna stay, but she's really sick. When? But she says, the contract remains the same.
Imagine.
Yeah, so you sign it and then you write your title and selectmen.
You want both signed, Laura?
Yeah.
Alright, if we have nothing else under the signatures, we'll move into the old business. First step would be email.
Oh, that's me. I just gotta find it. Maybe not. Oh, here you go, I just got this today, I thought you would read it, so he's not even here though, that's okay.
To Randy Talon. Subject contact form submission from Randy S. Talon. Good afternoon, I want to pass along my appreciation for the work our public works does clearing our highways. I travel throughout the state and feel our crew is tops when it comes to maintaining a safe road system. I brag about the work they do and I am proud of it. Please be sure to pass along our sincere thanks and how it does not go unnoticed. Randy Talon.
Can I add one thing to that?
Sure.
He might be retired now, but Randy Talon worked for the New Hampshire Department of Transportation.
Yeah.
So he probably knows what he's talking about.
I'll make sure Rick gets it.
We, obviously, feel the same way, so. Yeah. All right, we'll move into department head stuff. Mr. Mamone, you wanna go first?
Things have been very quiet because of the holidays. Really very little activity, very little. Really nothing to report.
All right, we go into Chief Lawrence.
Just have a report here with, so we ended up the year for fire calls, we had 137, med calls, we had 110. So far this year, we've had 4 fire calls and 5 med calls. Breakdown of the vehicle information. FEMA, the big grant opened up. Well, it's gonna be opening up soon, but I was listening to a webinar today. And we're gonna apply for it. Some of the things that we're gonna apply for, gear, thermal imaging camera, a boat, snowmobile, because we really should have both of those things. Possibly a piece of medical equipment, and I had asked if there was anything with station grants. They said there wasn't anything through FEMA, but there was something through, I think it's a USDA. So for the next, that has to be in by February 2nd, so for the next few weeks, I'm just gonna be gathering information, statistics, prices, whatnot. I wrote, when I was the chief before, I wrote 3 grants and received almost $250,000 in grants. So, do okay. So hopefully, we'll try it again. Griffin Parks was promoted to lieutenant. He's a level 3. He's been working his butt off for doing our trainings, things like that, so 6-month probationary period. And we've now have an ambulance committee for an RFP for a new ambulance, just to see. We'll get together, we'll meet, we'll find out what we want. We've met with 3 companies so far to kind of get a feel of what some of them are. So we'll make a list of what we want, send it out to those 3 companies and get a bid back.
Question, you said the fire calls for the year are 137. By med, I assume you mean ambulance calls,
Yes.
110. I would have thought that there were more ambulance calls.
There was one of the biggest jumps is that night that we had the 23 calls for service for when we had the wind going through here the night that
Okay,
we were all out.
but on an ordinary year, the ambulance goes out more often than the,
Right, and this year we were, if you minus the 123, they're running pretty neck and neck, just a few.
I think I'm correct in saying that there are times when the ambulance goes out and is joined by the fire department.
Correct.
And it's also true that the fire department might go out and ask to be joined by the ambulance.
Correct.
So they work together.
Hey, Roger, you wanna talk about cemetery?
3 of us were supposed to meet, and we didn't meet, because you snow up to our you-know-what. But we're still working in the process. John should have, not John, but the preacher should have the bylaws all written up. That's what we were gonna do last week, was sign those and get those going. And then just start really jumping into the sites and stuff like that, so. But a lot of that's gonna have to wait till,
Till you can see the ground.
right, until we see the ground and see what we got going on. So it might be summer. I know one we're gonna talk about, get a cost on it, and that was it, so.
Oh, well, you just chit chatting, I was talking about the planning board.
Well, got a question about the
Oh,
cemetery.
okay.
I know by state law, each town has to have either a cemetery or written permission to use someone's cemetery for indigent burials. We have that agreement with Wolfboro. How many years is that agreement? Is it
We
yearly?
renew it every year.
Okay,
Is Milton or Wolfboro?
Wakefield.
Wakefield.
Wakefield, okay.
So it's an agreement to send people there from Middleton that need a
Yeah.
place to be buried.
Yeah, and mostly it's your indigent, you know, so you gotta have some place to put them.
Right, so we're not under the gun per se, but I'm guessing at some point it would make sense to have our own cemetery, so we're not paying someone else
Right.
to provide a space that we don't use.
Right.
Like, I don't think we use one, you
No,
know.
we haven't
Wakefield.
sent anybody over there.
Right.
So, but
Okay.
we, by state law, and you don't want the state, you know as well as we do, the state coming after you.
Yes, they do.
They don't ask for $1,000 for the year, they ask for $20,000 for not having it, so.
Is there a cost associated with the contract with Milton?
Yeah, I think,
Wakefield.
1,200.
Wakefield,
$1,200.
$1,500 a month?
12,
Huh?
1,200 a year.
$1,200 a year, which that's cheap. Really, to put. But sooner or later, I know the state was gonna probably start saying, let's get, let's do it. John and I wanna go, Alton's redoing their cemetery. they're adding on to their cemetery, and they're putting in crypts and stuff like that, stand-up type crypts for ashes. So John and I, and probably the preacher, will go over and get some cost on that, and how much they're opening up. It looked like they opened up about an acre. So that give us an idea or two of what they're going through, give us some prices and stuff like that, so I haven't called over there yet because things have been, the weather and everything else, so.
Any more questions?
Thank you. No, that's it.
Planning board?
Not much going on. Everything is the same. Meeting Thursday night for sure. We'll be bringing on a new board member Thursday night, which will be coming to you guys to approve. And you'll get to meet him at that time. Gonna start the master plan, I guess, here real soon. We'll have to jump into that, get that master plan going. So, and that's it.
Cool. Anything from the tax collector?
Yep, here are her monthly reports.
Is it,
Good for another month?
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, probably, the school's at
Okay.
87, we got 152, so. So, yeah, grand total for the fee summary deposited for 12/1 to 12/31 is 152,148.10. So,
Laura, you might know the answer to this. As a result of the new tax bill passed by US Congress, there are changes coming in taxes for the 2018 year. Some states have opted to offer the ability to prepay 2018 taxes before December 31st. Was there any talk of that either in New Hampshire or Middleton or?
Quite a bit of talk, actually. We've had people looking for us to pre-print bills, which you cannot do. A lot of New Hampshire towns are not doing it because the homes have not been assessed.
Okay,
Because
so,
people wanna write it off because they lowered the,
right.
but we are not. They can prepay, but we will not give them anything that says it's for the 18 taxes.
Okay.
so it's just an account.
Just, like, you wanna pay it, yep.
All set?
Yes.
All right, no one from conservation's here, is there?
No,
Okay. Treasury?
all I have is mine.
Yeah. So right now we have basically in the balance is $1,548,240.21.
Thank you. You can keep it.
1.5. I guess we can pay our bills for next month. Go ahead.
I'll wait for the school board, I guess.
School board.
Well, I don't know whether they're even aware of it, I just noticed it paying bills tonight. The amount-
Huge decrease.
The amount we paid to the school board, i.e. the amount the school board asked for, has dropped dramatically. Okay? You agree?
I don't know.
Oh,
The check.
you agree?
Well, the
She's
check.
not the rep from the school board, it's Linda Adamo,
Right.
she's just here
Oh,
as a
I'm sorry.
resident.
The check tonight was,
My apologies.
rounded off to 64 grand. Usually that's,
220.
257.
Yeah.
I can ask Wednesday.
No, it
No,
did,
no,
we got
no,
the new
no,
drawdown.
it's just,
Oh.
Yeah.
but yeah, it's the drawdown payment basically, so it's just like, funny how it's like last month. was,
Great
you know,
news.
one, 100 and some odd thousand, now it's like half that, so.
We do have a meeting Wednesday, and we should finalize the budget Wednesday. We've been waiting for teacher negotiations to finish, 'cause they were at a stalemate. But I did get an email before Christmas that the teachers union did come to an agreement because we follow Governor Wentworth's pay scale, and they've agreed upon a 1%. So that's what we will follow, is the 1% with our teachers.
But our
So-
teachers are not unionized.
They are not.
So,
They are not.
Was the stalemate Middleton or?
No, Governor Wentworth.
Yeah.
So we should have our finalized budget Wednesday.
Okay, anything for welfare?
No, I didn't print anything, I've only helped one family in December,
Okay.
so I'm still way under budget.
Emergency management?
Quiet. Heck, we're not living in California or anywhere else you wanna pick. You name it. It's, even in South Boston, was it somewhere around Boston? All right, occasionally the ocean floods, but this time it flooded and froze. How do you freeze salt water? Glad that we are.
Had a
right
good
where
mix
we are.
there somewhere.
Yeah.
Anything for zoning, Joe?
No, all's quiet.
Okay. Assessing?
She didn't have anything, she wrote you that on that cover
Okay.
sheet.
So the only ones, the person not here would be the police chief. Did he submit anything or no?
Nothing,
Okay.
Highway,
nothing from
nothing?
highway, no.
All right, that's all the department head stuff. So, any questions on anything? All right, let's move into new business. Mr. Colburn concern.
He didn't show, so,
Okay. He must have figured out his schedule.
guess so,
All right, Tufts Garage concerns.
that's you guys.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen I got rid of all the scrap cars and 95% of the debris. I just have the tires to deal with. Everything's buried in snow now. I need just a little more time. I had no problem getting rid of them. The cost was no big deal. I already got estimate on that. It's getting down there. Everything's under a foot and a half of snow now. And, I need some more time on that if we can
So,
get it.
what are your plans?
I'm gonna have
Tell
big-
what's our plans?
I want to have a company called BDS. They're out of China, Maine, and they're gonna come down and remove them. But I have to get the rims off the tires that are still mounted. But,
Yeah, 'cause they're gonna charge $110 a ton to get rid of it.
but I need the. I can't get down there right now. Everything's buried. I need to wait till the snow melts back some.
You said 110 per ton, is that after the rims have been removed?
Well, if they give them with the rims, we have to pay more. We're gonna break them down, we put them in a dumpster, we can get money for the rims.
Yeah, I don't
To
know.
help pay for getting rid of the tires.
Sure.
We got a place up in Maine that's gonna take them, some PDS.
BDS.
But they don't work in the wintertime?
Yeah, but I can't. I have to have loaders and stuff down. You've been up. You see what I work with. They up out back. That it's not like it's like a field or anything like that.
I've seen the tires, I don't know how you're gonna get them now.
Well,
A lot of it's on hillside, covered in snow.
but it's all covered with snow now. So that's the problem.
Plus some of them are frozen in the ground.
So, my concern is, Keith, is basically John and I went down, we done the
Yeah.
walk around like that.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
The final conversation we had was you didn't have time or you weren't gonna deal with the tires until later, okay? That was like October that we come over and visited with you.
I was running.
And October or something like that.
Yeah. Didn't start snowing until probably just before Christmas. So like a month and a half. I mean, if you had one dumpster in there like that to show that you're doing something like that, I'd have no problem with trying to give you some more time. But it's like I done this part and you said I'm done.
No,
I'll deal with it
they
later.
said it was done. There was a dumpster sitting there, so but scrapping. But I'm like, I have to get that out of there and then do the tires. It's one thing at a time. Looking at the mess that it took 35 years to make, and when they cleaned up in 30 days, I mean, I wish I could snap my fingers and do that, but it's
What you get them to think?
Any kind of timeline on what's
Yeah.
transpired?
Yeah, basically, what we did is on October 3rd of 16, the first letter with the junkyard went out. And May 4th of 2017, they reapplied for the junkyard permit, but all the stuff has changed like that, and they need all the owner's approval to have the junkyard. Apparently that didn't happen. 4/4 of 2017, the letter regarding no septic design. 4/11 of 2017, the second letter giving 30 days to clean up. June 16th to 27th, the first legal letter giving the 30 days was sent. July 10th, 2017, met, giving an additional 12 weeks to clean up. We gave this meeting, we gave an additional, another 12 weeks. And then on November 29th of last year, the second legal notice letter giving another 30 days. And that was it. And then let's note on here is our visit, where our site visit. So.
I have a septic design. It's Eddie Brandon's doing. It's not quite done, but it's will be, and that'll put in spring as soon as the ground thaws tall. So
Now, this fine is for multiple owners, correct? Or is it just us?
The fine went towards the property. How is divvied up, and who takes care of that? That has nothing to do with the town, other than the fact that we want it done, okay? So, I mean, that would be a hard pill to swallow if that was me, that's been there for 35 years, and all of a sudden I'm a part owner of a piece of property, now everybody wants me to pay cleaned up.
I don't know if anyone down.
I'm just, no, I don't know what's happening and stuff like that, but his question is, there are now 6 owners of the property, and basically, that doesn't matter, I don't know who's responsible for taking care of, other than the fact that the town is finding you guys so much a day for not getting it done, so. I'm not sure what you're up there, so.
The fine per day, they're responsible.
Well, those are the new owners who all received the letter about it, yes.
Okay. So it's not just Tufts Garage.
Right. It's all the property owners who got that.
That's what I thought.
Okay, so basically, I mean, you know, I mean, this is adding a burden to you guys, I know that. It's not a cheap fine either, so. I know my thoughts on it, but.
After walking through the property, it's clear that there's been a fair amount of work done to get the place cleaned up. Okay? I can see where stuff was. There's at least one dumpster full of metal ready to leave at that
They
point.
can't get that out of there now because the snow's too deep. They don't want to
Yeah.
get their truck stuck down in there. So, but yeah, it's still there.
Based on where the tires are, some are piled up, some are not. I don't see you getting them out in the winter. Really don't. I mean,
That's what I mean.
I spend more than half the time just trying to find them, uncover them, and then pull them out of the frozen ground. That's before you even start to sort them into rim, no rim, okay? So, on the one hand, we went down in October. Perhaps we should have been more diligent in going back in middle of November to see what was done. But we didn't, and certainly true, the snows came early this year. I guess I'm concerned that if we impose the fine now, this thing will be,
We already have.
They are being
30
fined as we
days.
speak.
okay. But it's
Well,
gonna,
30, yeah, right, yeah, you're right.
it's gonna be January, February, at least 3 months before you can get any work in there. You know, all right, the snow goes, now it's mud season, you're not gonna get in there to get that stuff out.
Don't worry about the mud.
You're looking at about $3,000 a month fine.
Yeah, and that's, I believe the town's intention is to get the place cleaned up. I believe you folks have made a good faith effort in that direction, so. I don't mind waiting until we can get this stuff out of there. I'm not saying wait another year, but I'm
No, I
saying wait
don't
for
want
better
to go
weather
long.
to,
As soon as the snow's gone, I'll be ready to order it. That's all I have left is some tires.
John, your opinion?
My opinion, since last April, it was voted for a letter to go out to demand the property be cleaned. So talk was prior to that. So now you're looking at come this April, it'll be 1 year where a certain percentage only has been done with thousands of tires. Can I ask what our code enforcement officer thinks as far as the percentage of what's been done and how much more needs to be done?
Ask any questions you want.
John?
I don't think I should get involved with that. I think my job is to enforce what you ask me to do, not to make a decision like that.
A letter came out from the town
Mm-hmm,
to go down and survey the property.
mm-hmm.
Has the property been completed by what the letter states?
No, it is not.
And that walkthrough was in October.
Yes.
And prior to that, do you remember when?
Approximately a month before that. If you want to know, there was an improvement between the two times. A lot of the cars were removed. Junk was piled into a dumpster. So there was progress being made. Whether the timeline was correct, giving them a certain time to do it, you know, I'm not in that business. I can't tell you how long it's gonna take to clean up, because there's a lot of stuff there, you know that. But that's not gonna correct the situation, because winter's here, those tires are frozen in. Yeah, I don't wanna get into that, because that's something that you're gonna have to decide just for review.
I totally understand that, but I'm looking at a letter dated October 3rd. And it states, "You are hereby instructed to cease and desist all junkyard-related activities." Again, I'm gonna go on record and say, you know, this is from 2016, and here it is, long time. Over a year. There's a complaint, we act on it, we follow through, we follow through, we follow through. And, you know, I'll go on record, it's not my position to put anybody out of business, that's not my intention. And I've said that all along. But, I mean,
Let's be clear, we're not talking about business. Just letting you know, John, we're not talking about a business, we're talking about a piece of property.
Two situations. Go ahead.
It sounds like both the owners of the property and the town are kind of between a rock and a hard place. The property owner has had plenty of time, under most circumstances, unless there are other extenuating circumstances, to prevent him from doing the job in at least 1 year. And you're saying it's been since 2016 that this has been ongoing. So if the town extends leniency and say suspends the fines or whatever, you may be setting a precedent that future owners, future violations might anticipate the same kind of treatment, and that's what they call one of those slippery slopes. On the other hand, by imposing the fine, the pendulum swings the other direction where it could be quite a financial hardship for the parties involved to pay that fine. So there's not going to be an easy solution to this.
But there's also many other property owners that are responsible for that fine or the upkeep of the property.
That's what I'm saying, it's a financial hardship for the people, and yet I don't think the town can afford to not enforce the rules that they set forward.
My opinion is we need, as a town, as selectmen, we need to enforce what has been going on from the beginning. It was brought to our attention years ago. We continued with the follow-up, the walkthroughs, and everything else, and hold all the property owners responsible. If you want to waive 3-month extension, I mean, they've had a year and a half to do this now. But if you,
I never got anything to start cleaning up or anything until last April or May, whatever. I don't know where the 2016 thing come from, but we had a permit for the junkyard, and then it wouldn't renew because not everyone would sign, so that's when all the trouble started. So it hasn't been a year yet.
I have a letter here just for record, October 3rd, 2016, to a Mr. James Tufts. Signed by the town of Middleton, selectmen.
And is that to cease the junkyard operation?
It has come to the attention of the Board of Selectmen that the current junkyard located at Tufts Garage is not in compliance with current state and local regulations. In fact, it appears that the only regulation which you are in compliance is that the existing junkyard is located a sufficient distance from the road. Although the selectmen reissued your junkyard permit this year, we were unaware of these issues at the time. You are hereby instructed to cease and desist all junkyard-related activities. You first need to obtain permission from all landowners in order to even have a junkyard at that location. Second, you need to follow required guidelines for the operation of a junkyard. A checklist is enclosed for your use. You may check with state laws. Please feel free to contact the selectman's office. I don't know if you got permission from all the landowners. I don't know if you have applied for an application to operate a junkyard.
We did reapply, but not everybody on the deed, so.
And I understand. I totally, I understand.
May 4th. This one is submitted. But they
2017.
can't because of the rules are not, yeah.
So basically you applied on what day?
May 4th of 17.
May 4th,
Right.
17?
Well, after you.
Okay. And it was denied because the information wasn't complete in there. So, that's why no junkyard permit was issued at that point. So, in the meantime now, we have a property over there that has been somewhat cleaned up with the junk. The tires are a big issue. I think the tires are a bigger issue than the junk was for the most part. But now we're in a spot. We're in a bad spot here. Either we fine you $50 a day, and you can't do nothing about it because it's cold out, or frozen in, and stuff like that. And I do think you had some time from the time we walked and talked to you to do something if you had really wanted to do it. But I think you got, you probably felt you'd done enough. at this point, and we'll just do it next year. Unfortunately, we're putting ourselves in a spot, Joanne's right. We don't do anything, now we set a precedent for the rest of the taxpayers in town who wanna do the same thing, and we can't do anything about it, because this is what's going on, and we don't have a choice. But the same token, I mean, I'm in the agreement that, you know, you have plenty of time, that even if you started with the tires or something, you know, I'd be a little more, you know, easier going on it, but.
How about a fine imposed, suspended under conditions?
So, that was the road I was going down, Tony. I was thinking that, okay, now we're in a pickle, everybody's in jackpot here, okay, alright. I wanna make a recommendation that we give you until May 31st. You don't know when the frost is gonna be around, you don't know when the school's gonna be going, you don't want all that stuff to happen. May 31st. If you don't have it done by May 31st, you're gonna go back all the way to this date, you'll be fined. That's it, no more coming back, no more, whatever,
That's fine, that's fine.
okay? May 31st, I think, is a reasonable time, frost is gone, there's no reason why you can't get it done,
Yeah.
okay? So
Yeah.
we're gonna, so the date of the letter, which was November 29th, that means December 29th would be starting your penalties, okay? From that date on, we're gonna keep track, every day, $50. If it's not done by May 31st, if you guys agree, then basically, boom, you're gonna get the whole thing.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Can you, and can you tell us how many tires have been removed to date for the last 3 months, approximately?
Down. Just what was with the cars, I used to put 4 in each car when they went. I'm slowly getting rid of them. I had quite a few there a few years ago. Got it cut in half. I had a guy that he would just come in, he had a tractor truck with about 8 Mexicans in the back, and they'd fill that thing right up in about 2 hours and gone, you know.
So,
But, you know, I got rid of probably 2,000. There's probably 1,500 left.
so the fine that's on the books right now will stay?
The fine would be
But not paid
unless,
unless the work is not completed by May 1st. I agree with Joe, and trying to keep in mind that we cannot simply win the battle and lose the war. I believe the town is within its prerogative to start imposing and collecting this fine. Nothing can be done by spring, by then it might be too late. Tires might be there forever because things have just folded up, okay? When you sell the tires, you have to pay them.
Yeah, pay to get rid of them.
And you get metal price for the rims. That's not even a wash, but at least it's doable, okay?
Yeah.
If you impose this right now, I'm not sure you're gonna worry about that at all. We won't worry about it at all, because the stuff will just stay there. So, I agree with your idea.
I have a suggestion. Let's just change it to April 1st, and grant them the 30 day, April 1st.
I let
May
just
31st
one day
is good.
be done with
Yeah.
it, okay? Right now, at this point, it's $400. Okay, 8 days, $50, $100 fine at this point. So,
And we make sure that we get a letter to all owners with this statement, so that all of them know what we're doing.
yep, no problem.
Laura, if this is approved, you put it on your calendar that the selectmen should pay a visit on May 1st? You folks agree?
Yep.
By May 1st, the snow will be gone. We'll see what activities started up,
Sure.
okay? John?
And I will be going back sooner than that.
Okay.
I'm gonna be in contact with them to make sure that they're getting things done.
I have to tell you guys, I mean, this is my drop dead, done, okay?
Yep.
I mean, I think we're being reasonable, no, both ways here, so. But, so can we have that put into a motion?
See if I can say it correctly. I move that the town hold the $50 a day fine in abeyance until May 31st, 2018. At that time, if the junkyard has not been cleaned up, then the entire fine dating back to when?
December 29th, 2017.
Okay, December 29th would be imposed. We need clarification on what cleaned up means.
Should say tires, because that's your,
Okay,
that's
so-
your major thing.
All right, so can you get the word tires in there, Laura?
Tires, metal, and any associated debris.
There's a pretty clear definition under junkyard that
Okay.
will tell you exactly what constitutes a junkyard.
Are you gentlemen all right with that wording?
All right, do I have a
Because-
second?
Second.
We're saying that the fine will accumulate and it will become due on May 31st unless you got everything cleaned up and we're
Yeah.
back in good shape. All right.
We have
Good?
the motion, we have the second. Any more discussion on that? We all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, let's move into the audit.
Let's see, the audit is scheduled for February 14th and 15th.
Seems like we've just done it. Shouldn't take long though, so. Good.
Yeah.
You'll want Janet here for at least one of those days, right?
Yep,
Does she know about it or?
nope, I'll send her an email.
Okay.
All right, I guess under new business, the last thing we got is the town report.
Get that out of the way.
I just wanna know what you want on the cover, and I gave out memos today for the report, for the annual write-ups from every department head. So I just wanna know what you want on the cover.
Anybody got, in the audience, anybody have any idea who would like to put on the cover for the town report for this year? Taking ideas. Last year we done what, the flag of the trucks?
No, it was New Portsmouth Road.
What did we do that for?
It was New Portsmouth Road.
What did we do that
Because
for?
it's the prettiest road in town.
It was
Did you go out
nice.
again last month?
Yeah, I got
There's
some
the
nice
scaffolding and
ice
everything done up in the chapel.
Oh,
What,
It's
what,
on
that's
there.
all.
that's all gone.
what about a picture of the,
shot. That was 13, we just did that.
did that one?
Remember the black and white, the hair was showing on it? Did it.
Before and after?
Well, that really doesn't
Downstairs
look much
isn't
different.
done
Yeah.
enough
No.
for a picture.
All right, well,
The lake,
There was a
Yeah,
really
is there a
nice,
mountain?
there was a really nice picture under the
I have
news.
that, Mr. Hassan,
A
yeah.
sunrise lake, a sunrise on Sunrise Lake.
Ah,
I put it on the website, it is,
Did ya?
it's beautiful. Can you take that one?
possibility.
yeah. Is there anybody that we wanna honor before they pass away instead of after? I'm not being smart, it seems like every time we do it, somebody's already passed away, then we decide to do it.
Don't put me in the book.
Huh? I'd rather be proactive than, you know, just an idea, so. Right, I guess this is something we can think about.
Yes,
I guess our default would be the sunset or sunrise or sunlight.
yeah.
Yeah, there was a really nice one,
It's
yeah.
beautiful.
All right, so, public, go ahead, John.
I got some new stuff, if you don't mind.
No, it's fine, I'm sorry.
Old Town Hall. Had a nice tour with John Mullen over there. Town Hall itself is certainly getting there. The new stairs, second step is in. Most of the wainscoting is in the main portion. Bathrooms were looking nice, maybe not after this freeze up, but they'll get there. The big concern is the kitchen. The kitchen was never part of this rehab. They never applied through LCHIP for anything with the kitchen. We have gotten foundation work done as a result of the LCHIP grant. The ceiling in the kitchen had to be torn down and has been replaced as part of the L-chip grant with some wiring hanging out for new lighting. I understand it will be plastered, not sheetrock, but plastered, okay? The floor, which kind of got messed up as a result of the building getting leveled up a bit, the floor kind of does a dipsy-doodle in the middle. It is my understanding that with some monies from L-chip, people will get in there or put holes in the floor or something, get the floor jacked up and leveled. This is all before they stop the work on the building. Does that sound right to you so far? Okay. That will leave us with a building that's completed and a kitchen that's not. So, couple of ideas. I would like to propose putting this on the warrant article. It's gonna be up to the townspeople as whether or not they want it. That kitchen is way too big for a kitchen. It was a school, it was never built as a kitchen. There's no other community center in this area that has a kitchen that size. You could do with half that space, maybe 2/3, 1/3. So, I would like to get some estimates on what it would cost to put a wall across the back 1/3. Plain, simple wall. Estimates to redo the kitchen in front. We cannot do anything with the 3 outside walls that you see. Part of L-chip says you can't mess around with the outside, okay? No more exterior doors. The wall would have a door so the back room could be used. I'm just throwing out ideas here. Maybe the rec department could use a place to store their stuff, okay? And have a space to build things as they get ready for all these parties. I'd like to contact Middleton Building, who does kitchens, and say, what would it cost to put a good-sized kitchen in here? Cabinets. I would keep the big propane stove. I would keep the 2 refrigerators. I'd keep the sink, okay? I don't know whether we need an island, and does it have to be that size, okay? I can tell you that in meals now, power strips where you can plug in cookers, hot cookers, what do they call them? Hot crock pots are more popular than people standing on that 10-burner stove all day cooking items. Okay? They'd rather cook it at home, bring it in. So, although I would keep that stove, it doesn't get used much. Anyway, any thoughts? I'm looking for ideas about estimates. I cannot make a warrant article up without having some sort of prices in mind. And no, this is not going back to the town for more money for the old town hall. This was never part of the original L-chip business. Yes?
What about simply a warrant article to hire, say, Middleton Supply to do a floor plan redesign for
Take too
October?
long.
We don't need one enough, but they can do that anyhow. They'll do that anyhow.
Right.
They give you costs
So-
associated with it.
It's hard to believe, but this building's
Well,
gonna be
I think
finished.
that ought to be the first step.
Oh, I believe now it is going to be
Where do
finished.
you plan on putting that wall?
Straight across, if those are the 2 doors that go into the rest of the building, right? You're right where the propane stove is. There's a refrigerator where you are.
Yeah,
Right there's the island,
yeah.
right across this way. About 10 feet from the back windows.
Up this way.
Well, it's going this way,
Yeah, straight across.
straight across.
Straight across where the outside wall's at.
Yep,
And knock that out, just move everything up.
right. New counters, new cabinets.
So in other words, you probably still have a pretty good sized island there.
You would have a very large kitchen.
You still have enough cabinet spaces because John
Sure.
put more cabinet spaces in underneath the boards there and stuff like that. So you're not really losing anything.
You can get more than enough space to storage in the back room that you're talking about,
Right.
that way than it is now.
Right, but that back room could be storage not for the kitchen, but for something else,
Right.
like rec department, which has their stuff stored hither and yon.
Everywhere.
You're gonna get an argument on that.
Well,
We have a lot of big functions that happen in that hall, and they use almost all of that kitchen when they do.
well, I'd be glad to talk with them because
All
I
right.
put on a lot of big functions myself, serving just as many people, and there's a big difference in the size of the kitchens that I worked in. So, I think it can be done.
You have an expert right on your panel up there who knows kitchens, so. It's what he does for a living.
I know when we've had to use it for certain functions, we use the whole kitchen. But I can't see why we can't cut that one little section off. What's that, 5, 6 feet?
Yeah,
Maybe-
these could be 10.
I think it'd be very interesting, give the dimensions down at DePrizio's
Yep.
and see what Milton Building.
Yeah, see what they would
And
come
see what
up
they
with.
can come up with.
I have no idea of the price. I certainly would not try to pull it hither and yon, it would be a warrant article. It could be simple warrant article, it could be, if there's excess funding, unreserved monies, it's a possibility. Or do nothing. My problem is that building's gonna be finished and the kitchen won't be.
Well, that kitchen should have been added into that L chip.
I agree,
As
but
the,
that's back then, I'm here
as,
now,
as the old school, and it wasn't.
right?
But
So-
at least L chip is stepping up to at least do 90% of it, with the other 10%.
They've done the hard part, I think the foundation is good.
Yeah.
Putting in a plaster ceiling, oh, John, I don't wanna pick on you, but you might be old enough to put up plaster ceilings. I'm not. You are?
And leveling that floor back out, that's a big deal.
Right.
Fun.
So-
Yeah. Okay?
Did the rec crew lose their closet that we had over there, that
No.
we didn't?
But we were,
Still a closet
we were
there?
packed in there. But there again, if we had something, not to say that, you know, we, need whatever, how it works out, if it didn't work out that 10 feet became something like that, if that would be enough room for everything that we have, that closet space could be given to somebody else.
Right.
We wouldn't need it.
Yeah.
Cause we had the space underneath in where the two windows
Stage.
were, yeah.
By the stage.
Well,
off to
we
the
also
side.
had the other space underneath the cabinets where we stored the dishes.
You could divide that back room into 2 units. You could do whatever you want with that.
Yeah,
Keep in mind that you're have lost some space by putting in the second stairway where the police station used to be and where storage used to be. Okay?
yeah, but there wasn't, we stored junk in there. I mean, that stuff was all taken out, thrown in the trash can.
When do you have to have the numbers to?
I believe a warrant article has to be in by February 1st.
Yeah.
Okay? I don't need a hard and fast number, but I don't have any good feeling for what's, are we talking 10,000 or 90,000? I don't know. Seems like the hard work has been done. You cannot change the outsides. You're not messing around with exterior walls. You're not talking around with load-bearing walls. A wall goes up and put in, basically, the room would be empty. Whoever ends up there, put up some sort of shelving. The kitchen is basically kitchen cabinets.
Sure.
Stove goes here, refrigerators go here. Okay? Doesn't seem like it's that much work, but who knows? Yes,
Are they planning on letting people rent that out too, like before?
I would assume
That's
yes.
the town,
Yeah.
that's on the town.
Yeah, I think we would.
Yeah.
The word on the street is that the
Heritage Commission.
Heritage Commission is drafting up some new rules and stuff like that about renting the facility over there.
Rental agreement,
that-
new prices.
A new rental agreement. Well, that's fine, they can come up with anything they want, but it has to be passed through the board of selectmen first to make it viable. They don't own the building, the
We
town
just
owns it.
did one, what,
Yeah.
4 years ago?
So,
Right, and they don't rent it.
no, we do.
If you rent the town hall, it's not from the Heritage
No.
Commission, it's from the
But
selectmen.
Heard that they are.
I think the big
renting-
things they're looking for is don't put pins and needles in the woodwork, like use a little common sense, because there's a lot of money that's been put into that.
No.
It's already in the rules,
Yeah,
it is.
but people still walk in there and stick thumbtacks in it.
There'd be no change in windows, doors, none of that. The openings from the main hallway would stay just as they are. Right?
Is the water all fixed over there?
Is the what?
The water?
Yes, the sink might have to be, it's a double sink, might have to be moved, but,
We do have to reverse the water lines, 'cause we have the hot coming out of the cold coming out of the hot.
But you can use it now, I mean,
Yeah,
Can
Years
you
ago.
drink it? Can you drink it?
yeah.
you can make stuff
Yeah.
for kitchen use, that's what I'm
Yeah.
asking.
Alright, so-
It's no longer contaminated.
John,
Not.
you know where the
I wouldn't
big,
drink it.
you know where the big stove is?
Yep.
Look at the stove, you can move it a couple feet to the left before it hits the edge of the window. That
Well,
would be
then,
it.
then you've gotta move the hood, you've gotta move everything. So
Yeah, then you got,
my
Then
suggestion
you've got
would
the exterior
be
wall.
to talk to somebody like John, who works in a kitchen every day, or has worked in kitchens for his career, and then sit down with Middleton Building Supply and do a drawing that will come up, that will work. Now, we can talk about everything we want, but we really don't know how a kitchen should be set up.
how it flows.
I guess what I'm interested in is some feeling from you folks. Good idea, bad idea, forget about it.
No, we wanna,
No, move
don't we wanna
forward.
use the building more?
The building is gonna be done.
Yeah, so why don't,
Let's
Just
get the
before
kitchen
dec-
done.
Before
It's a
deciding
good
about
idea,
putting in
but
walls
just
for
get-
storage, I think you need the advice of an expert in Middleton Supply and some drawings.
Yes, Brian Monahan, yep. Okay,
So, I think go ahead and move forward with it.
okay, I'll keep pursuing it. So this is done this month in terms of estimates. Okay, thank you.
Anything else under, new business?
You guys are finishing the budget?
We
Yes.
did, we talked
Except
about
for warrant articles.
So, no, we need to order.
when you meet
Tomorrow.
Okay. Can we get some information to these guys at some or no?
Oh, no, because we have to.
Then at the end of my year, I have all this quarterly stuff to do. I'll try, but I can't guarantee anything.
That's why we were told to come tonight.
For what reason?
Because you guys were discussing the budget.
They did their workshop already.
Right.
No, all we did is, no, after we met with you guys, we brought the department heads back in, well, we didn't bring them back in. We went down through what they submitted like that, we made some more recommended changes to either drop things, whatever.
Right, so I think that's
So,
what we want.
and
Yeah.
that's not final, I mean, we had some questions for Rick, on a few items, and he's clarified those, so basically now it's just Laura to get the numbers put together. But this is year end, and that's what she's doing as well, so. But we did do some more recommended reductions.
When's the budget hearing?
The one with the public?
The deliberative session?
The budget.
Not the
committee sets-
deliberative, the budget
The
hearing.
budget committee sets that date,
Yeah, I think.
February sometime, right?
Yeah.
Early February, I believe.
See, the only thing we got left to do is finalize, what we're gonna submit for budget, do warrant articles, and then they can set the meeting for that, and we do the deliberative, I guess, after that.
So will that be done, because we have another meeting next Monday, will it be done before that?
Yes, it will be
So
done
we still
for
have to
that.
come tomorrow night?
What time do you have
Because
for
the
tomorrow?
school, 6:30, the school board one is Wednesday, and tomorrow night, we're discussing what the selectmen have finalized.
Right, your Monday one was supposed to be the school one,
Yeah, I know.
because we're closed. You're not gonna get anything out of me, I'm not here. Well, me
I'm
and
just saying,
August-
do we have to meet tomorrow if it's not done from the selectmen tonight? Unless it's gonna be done tomorrow during the day?
I really can't. Depends on if that thing goes off or not, really, I can't.
Do it all Monday.
Your expenditures won't be right, but, because I won't be here to do it.
We'll have from Thursday. I'm fine with just coming next Monday.
So you guys
Won't
plan
have
on
my
canceling
updated by
tomorrow?
Thursday.
I don't know, can we do that? You don't have the chair or the vice chair here?
Right, that's not my call. I just didn't know what,
I'll send you
The
an
three
email as soon
members.
as we get home. Other than that, we won't
But
be
I thought
discussing
your
anything.
tomorrow's meeting was to discuss your numbers.
To compare them with the selectmen.
Yeah.
But you haven't even come up with any numbers yet.
Cause we need what the selectmen have, is how I understood it.
That's how I was,
That's what
yeah.
understood.
Well,
You don't really need it, cause you can change them again at the deliberative. I mean, we can change the numbers 3 or 4 more times.
So whatever you decided on right now, I mean, that's.
I feel that what
I
we've
mean, we
already
didn't
done
change
through is
many.
what we're going to
Which I
submit.
wouldn't
Right.
say
So we're not
anyway.
changing it, what we
So
got.
if you've already done it, that's what,
We'll
that's
take
how
that.
I understood it, that's what we were supposed to meet
We'll
on.
take that.
warrant articles aren't done.
Right,
No.
we don't have to, but the operating budget
Yeah,
itself,
we're done with that.
we've made our recommendations.
Right, and that's why, what I thought was the purpose of the budget committee's meeting tomorrow night,
Right,
was to go over whatever you guys decided at your workshop.
right.
That's what I understood.
Okay.
I'm new in this ballgame, so.
But yes, I agree with, yeah, that's. what I thought.
And then Mondays was to go over what happened at the school
Yeah.
on Wednesday.
Right, so you'll have nothing from me for Monday, cause it's not about us.
Right, cause we were gonna do it tomorrow.
You keep saying that.
I'll be here at 7, I guess. So when I go with my overtime line, this is why.
Put down per request.
But
of the
unless we
budget
do it
committee.
all next
Oh, okay.
Monday, do the school and the town next Monday.
We could do that too.
That's-
So what's the school submitting to you guys for a budget? Is that line by line, or is it just,
It's a good question, Joe.
we want
On Wednesday.
We prefer it to be the same as what the town does, and we haven't, I don't think, gotten that far yet. We're all new in the process. So,
no matter how new the process, you recommend, if you request information, you should be getting the information you request, regardless of who it's from. That was told me,
okay, no,
you know?
Yeah,
You
we
tell them
requested
you want,
your budget for tomorrow night.
no, I mean how the process is. I mean, I know the school does a bottom line total, all like that, and that's what they submit to the budget committee. It doesn't go down and drill down into the details like we have to do for the budget committee.
Oh, I guess that, that'll
And,
take 5
and,
minutes.
and I have a real problem with that, because there shouldn't be 2 sets of standards. Either we have one, and we abide by it, and that's the way it should be,
right.
you know? And, you know? But that's my opinion. Alright, I guess, if there's anything else under new business, if there's not, we can go into public participation in any other business.
You guys are lucky, I printed off my notes and left them at home.
Should we go, is that what we're doing?
and it's 20 of it.
It's 20 minutes to 8?
Vacancies in the town, is that notice on the town website still valid as far as the vacancies to be filled for the town?
There shouldn't be one on the town website. Right now, shouldn't be anything on there.
You were looking for supervisors of the checklist?
Yeah, but that's ongoing, that's not anything for the ballot though.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. So what you have listed for town officials,
Hasn't been
Which is all-
finalized, we don't know what they are yet.
I'm gonna ask a question. Okay, I did talk to a family over on Pinkham. Apparently, they were driving, leaving their house one morning when it was early and still somewhat dark outside. And they said that without a street lamp out there, it was really hazardous for the children because of the snowbanks. The kids were actually in the street. And it was a problem of visibility, so they asked me to bring that to the attention of the selectmen, someone to look into.
Are you talking about where the children's bus stop is,
Yeah.
where the Pinkham sign is with all the house numbers?
Yep.
Where's the parent? If the kids are in the street, where's the parent?
It's probably not.
Whether they're old enough to wait for the bus by themselves or what, I don't know. All I'm reporting is that, and I had their name on my notes at home, but all I can remember is that the lady's name was Elena. So if anyone knows who that is. Also, we've got some information. I'm not trying to sell newspapers, I'm not trying to advertise, but I think I did a pretty good write-up on the cell tower situation, the FirstNet situation in the Granite State newspaper, which I write for now. It is available down at the Irving station. Subscriptions to it are available by having them delivered to your door and by the internet. And I think the prices are reasonable. So, in a nutshell, we were under a lot of hope that the governor would hold true to opting out of FirstNet and going with Rivada. The governor was hoping also that some of the states who were still holding out would join him in his decision to opt out of FirstNet. AT&T and the powers that be indicated that if we did not go with FirstNet and the AT&T program, that if our Rivada program, which we were hoping to use, would cause any difficulties, it could impose severe fines up into the millions of dollars for New Hampshire. Now, I don't know how anyone defines difficulties, but I'm sure anybody can imagine a difficulty and blow it out of proportion. The basic situation is that the governor did not want to risk those millions of dollars of fines when all of the other states, all 49 others, have opted into FirstNet and AT&T. He didn't want to leave New Hampshire out there hanging out there to dry, so we have opted into FirstNet. It will be AT&T. In the process, we had a state representative, a representative from the governor here in Middleton, Mr. John Stevens, came and spoke to us. The governor had a copy of our 500 name plus petition and all of the documentation that went with it. He is very optimistic that Middleton is high on the list of locations for an operational situation of actually constructing a tower. Since then, I have finally been able to contact some people in AT&T.
You want to tell them about Rivada first, what we were holding.
Well, not really, it's a moot point.
You think it is?
Yeah. So the situation is now that our documentation, the elevation, the longitude and latitude for the location of the tower proposed has been delivered to the engineering department at AT&T. The area manager and the one who is in charge of where to place these towers and after receiving advice from engineering, they're all aware of the fact that Middleton has a site, that we're not one of those towns that are going to say, not in my backyard. We do want it. The site has been prepared. I don't know if it had been stumped, but I said if it hadn't been stumped yet, it was was set up to be done in the spring. So they're very well aware that Middleton is prepared to host having a tower put up. And AT&T, the gentleman I spoke to, who's one of the executives at AT&T, indicated that he anticipates some very quick action on getting it done. It's bureaucracy, so when you define quick, their timeline is 5 years or less, and he stated that he expected it to be far less than 5 years for us to see some action in Middleton. That's all I have for now.
You want to let them know also too that when they do put the tower up, that the telephone service.
Oh, yes. Big thing too is with AT&T indicated that not only will the tower that they construct deal with broadband service for all the emergency, fire, police, etc., but it will also handle all of the communications for public cell phone usage. So you'll see
That's big, nice.
We are keeping Mr. Stevens advised. We're not doing anything over the governor or anything like that. Since we found this out tonight, I will be calling John Stevens in the morning, and let him know that our contact, we have been in contact with our contact. He knows we have, and let him know what's going on with that contact. That way there, he's got a heads up too, that it don't kind of shock him down. Because he's been really helpful for us.
Are they still looking at putting 99 cell towers?
The way I understand it,
Five-year plan?
AT&T had proposed something like 750. Ravada would have put up something like 950 or 1,000. But AT&T does have plans to construct at least 700 plus towers in the state of New Hampshire alone.
We're gonna be looking at cell phone towers like we do windmills.
No, New Hampshire's a big state, I'm sure 750 sounds like a lot, but there's a lot of area to cover.
What happens to the contract that you entered, or the town entered into with the other?
Our contract is still good.
That still goes with Blue Sky. AT&T may have to work with Blue Sky to actually construct the tower. If not, it'll be up to them to work around however they do it. One proposal has also been mentioned that if we can't get out of Blue Sky contract and AT&T can't work with them, we simply move another 100 feet or so in the other direction and set off another site for the tower.
I thought there was an escape clause.
No.
No.
I wish there were.
No,
Them,
that
not
was-
for us.
No, I
That
thought
was
that
a
was
mistake.
stated at a meeting
No,
months
that
ago.
was a mistake.
Oh.
That's only at Christmas with Santa Claus.
No, I just remember somebody had said at a meeting, oh,
Well,
well, we can
as-
get out of it whenever we want.
As per John Stevens, who is the state gentleman, he says that we will be using our own cell phone tower companies. Because AT&T don't want to come in and build the towers, they just want to put the sites up.
I don't think we really know for certain either way, because that was prior to when the state was still working with the.
I can ask them all.
It's workable, let's put it this way, it will be done.
It's gonna be done.
Appreciate
If I gotta go out there and put the doggone tire out, it's gonna be done.
I wanna be to watch this one, so.
Huh?
I wanna be to watch this. All right, anything else under public? Go ahead.
Yes, I had something else. To reinforce what Joanne was talking about, before me is the Granite State News. Find another paper that has that in it. Okay? Heading of Middleton News, okay? Only paper I've seen that takes an interest in us. So, thank you. Okay, that's it for me.
All right, yeah, if there's nothing else, I'll entertain.
One small thing.
Okay, I'm sorry.
In the interest of transparency, whatever happened with the road posting?
That's still in process.
Okay.
So with that, we'll move right along, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn at 7:43.
Would you make it 53?
53, yeah, okay.
Okay, so move.
Second. All in favor?
Take care.
Good night.
Thank you, everybody.
See you later.
John, don't leave.
Okay. All right, guys.